Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results when, in fact, the results never change, is one definition of insanity. That goes for economics, too. Now you know my credo: free market capitalism is the best path to prosperity. And let me add to that, from our founding fathers, our Creator endowed us with the inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In other words, freedom. Here's what we must do: completely reform the vetting process for immigrants and foreign visitors. Change the screening process. Come up with a new visa application review process. Stop this nonsense of marriage visa fraud. And in the meantime, seal the borders. It is freedom that makes this the greatest country in the world. And it is freedom that so frequently keeps me on the optimistic side of life. We were endowed by our Creator with the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We were not endowed by the federal government. We were not endowed by entitlements. We were not endowed by pork barrel spending. We were not endowed by budgetary earmarks. Yes, there should be tough border security. Yes, there should be foolproof ID cards, with biometrics, for social security and employment purposes. Wars breed unfairness, just as they breed collateral damage. I never had any friends beyond a certain superficial level. We hate to admit weaknesses. We were raised to want to get ahead, to be good and clever and successful. You're just ashamed to open up. The eligibility for food stamps has widened and widened. Welfare has been widened, unemployment insurance and disability insurance. These are all incentives not to work. My crash and burn over drugs and alcohol is very well known. I've never, ever hidden that story. If there are people who would not vote for me because of that history, I understand. I believe China is a major trade violator. The Chinese break all the rules. They counterfeit our goods, steal our international property rights, and hack the computers of our industries and government. Something must be done about it. After 25 quarters of so-called recovery under Obama, it has increased a total of only 14.3%. Compare this to earlier periods. After the JFK tax cuts of the early 1960s, the economy grew in total by roughly 40%. After the Reagan tax cuts of the 1980s, the economy grew by a total of 34%. From 1950 to 2000, the U.S. economy grew at an average rate of 3.5%. That generated a massive gain in real GDP per person from $16,000 to over $50,000. A huge win for the middle class. Democrats like Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders want to raise taxes on the rich, saying it will solve inequality. It won't. All that will do is significantly reduce incentives to work, save, and invest. But I say inequality is not the problem. The problem is a lack of growth. Research has shown that middle-income wage earners would benefit most from a large reduction in corporate tax rates. The corporate tax is not a rich man's tax. Corporations don't even pay it. They just pass the tax on in terms of lower wages and benefits, higher consumer prices, and less stockholder value. I am continuing to explore a run in the Senate from Connecticut, absolutely exploring it. In fact, I would say exploring it intensely. Nobody, in my lifetime, in either party, has reached out with a message of hope, growth and opportunity to minorities better than Jack Kemp. I am not a politician. I've never run for anything in my life. I'm an economist. I'm a broadcaster. I've been an advisor. I worked for Ronald Reagan. We got our freedom and our liberty from the Creator, from God. That is a lesson conservatives have to remember. Reduced marginal tax rates on individuals and business fosters growth every time. Working in a bipartisan manner, with Congress and the support of the American people, Trump can, in fact, make America great again. For the life of me, I cannot understand Clinton and her proposed across-the-board tax hikes on individuals, businesses, and investors. I cannot fathom her plans for increased regulatory burdens, which include more government-run healthcare and a halt to the fossil fuel energy boom. I don't want to be partisan here, but please, tell me how you get out of a business recession by raising business taxes and regulations? JFK inherited 3 recessions from the Dwight D. Eisenhower years, and he wound up slashing tax rates across the board, for upper, middle and lower incomes as well as corporate investment. That's Kennedy the Democrat. As a free market guy, I love competition. That includes political competition. Obama and Clinton wrongly believe that the corporate income tax is a tax on the rich. The reality is that rich corporations don't pay taxes, workers do. The EU's tax and regulatory policies, climate change and welfare spending, and free immigration even in wartime are gradually ruining Europe. That's why I believe Brexit is good for British freedom, political autonomy, and the survival of democratic capitalism. The EU needs Britain more than Britain needs the EU. The London Stock Exchange is one of the most powerful financial centers in the world. Frankfurt will never replace it. Trade is the key to the economic outlook in Britain and the EU. Many corporate chieftains joined large bank CEOs and the fearmongering IMF to suggest that the EU will deal harshly with Britain if it leaves and stop all trade. That's mutually assured destruction, mad. I'm going to reveal the grand secret to getting rich by investing. It's a simple formula that has worked for Warren Buffett, Carl Icahn, and all the greatest investment gurus over the years. Ready? Buy low, sell high. It turns out that Donald Trump has been very good at buying low and selling high, and it helps account for his amazing business success. Under Bill Clinton's HUD Secretary Andrew Cuomo, Community Reinvestment Act regulators gave banks higher ratings for home loans made in credit-deprived areas. Banks were effectively rewarded for throwing out sound underwriting standards and writing loans to those who were at high risk of defaulting. When George W. Bush tried to roll back taxpayer exposure to a housing crash via Fannie and Freddie, guess what? 2 senators joined a filibuster of the Bush initiative? Yep, those saviors of the working class, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. They went to bat for the housing industry and voted to allow taxpayer exposure to escalate. New tech explosions create winners and losers, but overall are remarkably positive for the country, middle-class folks, the economy, jobs, and wages. When businesses don't spend and invest, they don't hire and cannot offer better-paying jobs. Business investment and wages are 2 sides of the same mirror. If a company purchases 5 trucks rather than 10, there are 5 fewer trucking jobs. Arthur Laffer has taught us, if you tax something, you get less of it. That's why firms are moving offshore in droves. It's not about being unpatriotic. It's that it doesn't pay, after tax, to invest in the United States. Obamacare rules and mandates are job killers. Many people do not understand that business investment is a critical prosperity booster, leading to more jobs, higher wages, and stronger family income. Put another way, rising tax and regulatory burdens that penalize investors and businesses also punish middle-income wage earners. When the now infamous Donald Trump Billy Bush audio feed was released, my confidence in Trump all but evaporated. For Clinton, I don't see redemption. She is a corrupt political operative of the worst kind. Kennedy had already, in 1962, lowered investment taxes on business. And after his tragic assassination, his broader tax proposals were passed into law in early 1964. And they worked. The U.S. economy grew by roughly 5% yearly for nearly 8 years. Hillary Clinton would raise taxes on so-called rich people, corporations, capital gains, financial transactions, and inheritance. Has there ever been an example where America has taxed its way into prosperity? Never. Trump has an economic recovery and prosperity plan. Clinton has an austerity recession plan. True enough, the Fed needs radical reforms. In particular, it needs to replace its failed forecasting models and be rid of the academics who overwhelm the Fed system. JFK and Reagan's growth model included tax cuts and a steady dollar. Trump has taken a gigantic step toward restoring prosperity with his tax cut-centered fiscal policy. Let's bring in Donald Trump. He wants to lower taxes across the board for individuals and large and small businesses, significantly reduce burdensome regulations, and unleash America's energy resources. Trump's corporate tax reform would restore America's position as the most hospitable investment climate in the world. For a change, businesses and their cash would come back home. A long time ago, I watched President Reagan repeat a few simple points about the benefits for everyone of lower taxes, light regulations, and limited government. Successful policies are sold by repetition, not unrelated tangents. Hillary is a combination of Barack Obama 3.0 and Bernie Sanders 2.0. This is not change. This will not yield strong growth, lift jobs and wages, and make America more globally competitive. Hillary is not an agent of change. Nor does she have any idea how to restore rapid economic growth. Instead, she is a prisoner of the left. Tax the rich, inequality, redistribution. On economic policy, Pence has held to the key building block of growth. He is a budget hawk who voted against President George W. Bush's fiscally bloated No Child Left Behind education bill and hyper-expensive Medicare prescription drug bill. He said he would not support new middle-class entitlements. He was consistent. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.